Well, another morning of varnishing. Victoria, slab back. Look at that. Look at that beauty. Isn't she nice? I've got balsam ground on it, several coats of the Stradivari base varnish, and I'm going to put another coat on, and this is the golden separation layer between the ground and the colored varnish. Now my top is just about dark enough. You want to look at is these areas, which are the wear areas on the top, where the instrument is handled by the musician. You want to have them about the color that you want to have them at water. So here's a little lighter. So I could be a little. This actually here, this wear area here, is pretty close. You know, that little blondish area there is pretty close to that there. So this is almost done. So I think today I'm going to just focus on the maple. I run my hand over it. First off, you should get a nice squeak. You know, if it doesn't squeak, it's not dry. So here's my linseed oil, and I got some auto polish here, 3000, and I'm just going to put a drop of linseed oil. When I rub my finger here, I feel some roughness. So I just put that, and I just want to take off any nits and nubs. Now I use a very, very, as you'll see, thin coat of varnish, and the advantage of it versus brushing a thicker coat, I'm going to go circular, up and down, and sideways, is that the advantage of it is I don't get any nits, I don't get any fingerprints, I don't get any skin, I don't get any hair, because I basically wipe it all off when it's wet, and I'll explain that. It's kind of something experimental. We've been kind of experimenting with the application, and I've never been one. I'm not a good brusher, and I want a finish that looks like it's been handled for a long time. So, like hundreds of years, a long time. So that I got that. Let's see. Look at the scroll. The scroll's pretty smooth. I'm not feeling any nits. It's nice. You know, we got quite a bit more varnish we're going to put on. It's very thin coats right now. I'll give them a little. Just, you know, wear it down a little bit. Now the next thing I do, so that took off any nits. Now, I still have a little roughness here. I got one that's a little. And the problem is, you know, once you start putting the color down, you'll cut through the color so fast with this, even this 3000 paper. There I go. The other thing I do on every, is I got the white 3M, and I want to rub the edges, because as Joe Robson says, you know, the second day somebody plays a violin, they've already knocked the edges off. And we want to just wear those down a little bit. And it's not like, we're not going to take them on a sandpaper or a gravel bed and knock them down. We want it to, you know, try to make the wear look like it happened naturally. And I've also noticed that when I look at an older violin, the wear on the edges is on the top, not necessarily on the outer side. It's up on the top. So when I'm doing this, I'm actually kind of holding it. You can see, so the papers or the mesh is running on that top, not. Of course, the edges with the ground, I double the edges, and then everybody always wears the button, and they always wear it on this side because that's where your hand's at when you're playing. You always want to think about how the player plays. We always rub this off a little bit here, and as I put the color varnish on, I won't put as much color varnish there. I'll basically, it's going to be like a diamond on the front, and on the back this will be war, this will be war, and then down the center and out to the bouts, and this will be. So I'll apply it, and you can see I've actually colored the wood with Joe's vegetable dyes. When I was in the ground process, there's gray-green down in here, so I get a little gray-green effect there. Okay, so that's about all the prep I need to do on this before I put on another coat, which when I was brushing, it was like, oh my gosh, I got a lot of work to do just before I can get another coat on. So I'm going to do one more thing. This is kind of a variation on French polishing. I got these nice linen cloths, and this is alcohol. Put it way over here so it cannot spill on your instrument. If you spill alcohol on the instrument, you'll have lines running down it. It's not good. So, and then I put a little linseed oil in my mixing cup here. This is the finger that'll have the alcohol. These are the fingers that are going to rub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the alcohol on this finger, and then I'll rub it across so I feel a little coldness, just a little, and with some linseed oil, and that's what I will rub, and I will hear it grabbing, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it in the video. So index finger, it's all the alcohol I use, dab a little of the linseed oil. Now I'm kind of mixing the alcohol, and I feel on my fingers it's just a little cool. Alcohol's evaporating. And then it's not gripping yet. I need a little more alcohol. The issue, the risk you get here is you get too much alcohol. Now I can feel it grip. It's just a little grab. It's just a little grab between my, as I move my fingers up and down. So this is a, and notice my index finger is not touching the instrument because that's where I put the alcohol. Hear that? I don't know if you hear it in the video, but it's just a little bit of a grab. Now with French polishing, you'd have shellac in here. I'm not trying to do shellac on it because I'm not trying to add that in the varnish. I'm just trying to, yeah, I can hear that really nicely now. Trying to move that outer surface just a little bit. It takes the sheen off, or the shine. You want sheen and not shine off. This is a little, now you can see is when I'm tipping it in the light, it's not as shiny. This hasn't done it. See that shine there? And now on this side, just because I've been doing this, there's, I can get some shine, but it's a little more of a sheen, which is what you want, because shine makes it look like it's shiny new, and who wants a new violin? I'll sell a new violin, but who wants a new violin? And then I got to get up on the head and scroll there. I particularly like these down in the flutes, get those. Now I am using my index finger because it's no longer cold and there's not much alcohol there, it's just the... So now, there, you know, there we are. It's got a sheen, but it's not shiny. And I haven't done the top because I'm not going to do the top today. You know, I think I'm dark enough on the top. That shine, that sheen. Subtle difference. Alright, so now, because of the linseed oil and the paper, and the linseed oil and the alcohol polish, which takes off a very small amount, almost non-visible. Now I put my papers back in my little tin cans. I'm a Velcro nut, so that gets Velcroed there. I put my rag, which has got linseed oil on. This will start a fire. I don't want to burn down my shop. And I just... my Velcro's in the way. Close the lid on that so I don't have any air out. And now I got Gamsol. Gamsol is essentially gasoline and some kind of artist refined process. It will take off the linseed oil. Let me grab a clean rag. Because if I have linseed oil on, I'll have a binding failure between the coats of varnish. And that means it gives you really nice crackling-sure and peel and all kinds of other things that you don't really want. So with Gamsol, again, I shake it away from the instrument. This won't take the varnish off like alcohol will, but it does take the, could have used a little less there. Just want the rag really damp, actually not wet. It takes that linseed oil off. So you should get, see, I'm not getting my squeak yet. See, kind of get a fold of the cloth to go down into the volute corners. Now I got my squeak. The linseed oil's not. You have the linseed oil on there, you won't get that squeak. So the Gamsol doesn't take the varnish, dries, evaps off very quickly. Doesn't smell. Great for just cleaning that linseed oil off. Used to use China clay, and the problem with that is, see, I want to hear the squeaks. The problem with China clay is it's such a fine clay, it gets in your lungs. So I kind of want to avoid that. Now, here's the Stradivari base varnish. I always put the piece of parchment paper there so you can open it, and probably do for a new one. Here's my applicator. I do a lot of cooking. This is a bamboo cooking skewer. And I just dip it in there. I don't want very much. And I'm just going to put a couple dots. Again, this is actually the second instrument we've done this technique on. And my hand clean, I'm going to start just pushing those dots around in a circular motion. Get them down in, you know, so basically I want to have as little varnish as I can possibly put on, because I'm going to put a micro layer, I'm calling it micro layer, and I want to push it across the grains to get down on those medullaries. Look at those guys popping out. Look at that. They're just, look at those. Just gorgeous. I love this piece of wood. bought it, and one of my colleagues says, "You didn't get any ribs with it," and I'm like, I thought, oh darn, what am I going to do to match it? So I actually had to saw. I had a Japanese pull saw, and I sawed off the ribs off the board, which was kind of I wouldn't say it's exciting. It wasn't exciting. It was flavor intensive. This took a couple hours. But boy, was it! That way, my ribs are the same exact wood as my back. Now I'm just kind of drawing this down, and I can see. You probably can't see it. I can see my fingerprints in it as I'm pulling it down, and I don't want to see any waves or anything other than just the mark of my finger coming down over that. And again, just a dot. And I'll put the dots down along the sinking in the channel here, because I want to, you know, get at. That's all. That's all the varnish I'm going to put on this coat. So Joe Robson and I have talked about it, and we talk about wall time versus calendar time. So my feeling is that I get down here, I put the pin in a hole so I get a little, because I'm pushing fairly hard. Calendar time with this method takes 6 weeks at least to get this thin on there. But wall time, actually, much time you put in it is much less than some of the more traditional, brushing techniques, because you don't have the cleanup. I put this on. I mean, the last time I put the last coat of varnish I put on this instrument, I didn't do any of the polishing at all. It was ready to go right away as soon as it came out of the drying cabinet. Now, on the first few coats on the ribs, and occasionally on another coat I'll do it again, is I'll use a brush and get down in the little areas on the margins. And I'm just trying to make it. I think of my dad was a beekeeper, and when we were extracting honey, he had a lot of bees. That's what I did from 5 years old on. And when we were extracting, everything was sticky. Everything. You'd walk in the house, you'd open a counter, you'd take silverware out of the drawer. Everything was sticky because we got honey on everything. And you could wipe it off. Unless you wiped it off with hot water, there was always a little bit of honey there. Just go ahead and try it. I mean, you can take honey, lick it off your fingers, and you'll still feel it there. Well, that's kind of what I'm doing here. And you can tell by, see, there's a layer of varnish there. You can't see it. I've pretty much wiped it all. I would say you wiped it all off, but no, it's there. It's a micro layer, and it's a real fail-safe way of putting it on, because you can't. Now what I'm going to do is I got a loaded rag, piece of linseed, cheesecloth, not linseed oil. This is just loaded with the varnish from yesterday and the day before and the day before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just burnish this. And if I put it in the light and I stick my finger, I have a fingerprint there. You can't see it, I can see it. And that tells me, just like the honey, there's a coat of varnish on that. There's a layer of varnish. And I got wood texture, because it's again, I'm down on the bottom C-bouts. I want to support it so I can. And here I'm going this way because I'm trying to accentuate the medullary lines and drive it down into the pores. And I look at it at an acute light. I have no look at that. I can get a light on it. There's no nits. There's no hairs. There's no lines. There's no fingerprints. Everything has just been wiped clean. But there's a layer of varnish on it. And experiments we've done, or the other one we did this with, we only did it on the neck because I had a repair on the neck, and I did this technique on the neck. It was a small piece. We were trying to say, well, you know, how's this going to work? It came out really nice, very transparent, got a nice color, and the maple just danced in the light. So again, this is the separator coat here, and I probably got, I don't know, 15 applications on this one. So I take it up to the light, and I'm running it down through the shine of the light, trying to make sure I don't have any globs or lines or nits or anything like that. So, and that's it. All right, it's going to go in the drying cabinet now. I need to do the neck, and actually, I like to do the neck. I've always done the neck after the body, but I've gotten now to, and you'll see why, I kind of like to do the neck first, because then I don't touch the body when I'm working around the scroll. So there again, just tiny drops. And my hand, my fingers now got my layer of honey varnish on them. So I'm getting, just rubbing my fingers on here. I'm getting this stuff rubbed in. So down in the bottom of the volute, if I'd done this first, I would hold the instrument with my knees and run my cloth, my loaded cloth there, to get the varnish down in there, because I'm not using a brush. I can't reach it with my fat fingers. So now close this because I don't want it to dry. There. Now I'm going to take my loaded cloth, wipe it off. What I mean by, I hold it in my knees and I stretch out my cloth. And then I can get that. But now since I want to wipe that down. But I got varnish on my knees now. All right. So she's wet, micro layers, but look at how the flecks in that maple, it's just alive. And when I get the color on it, it'll stay that alive. Of course, this piece is just gorgeous. So that's how I apply the varnish. My routine is I come out here every day, and it's kind of my meditative moment of applying varnish. Now, I put my loaded rag back in this little metal container. Again, I don't want to burn the shop down. Stick that up there. And my drying cabinet is a box of aluminum reflective styrofoam insulation underneath my bench with a series of lights. So now you can see the blue with the UV light, because I want to look at it. And that is my call for breakfast.